Miguel, thank you for letting me into your kitchen, first of all.
Yeah, no problem.
It says here on the front of your new book, you're the original £1 chef.
Yeah.
I think everyone understands the concept. These amazing meals that really only cost £1 per serving.
Yeah.
I can totally, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Your new book is vegan £1 meals. And my worry with vegan food often is that there are these substitutes where to recreate certain things, and they can be quite expensive. So how have you managed to avoid that pitfall with this book?
Well, with all the £1 meals books, my philosophy is just to cook from scratch. So I'm taking just normal ingredients where there's nothing written on the side of the packet, no E-numbers, no preservatives, nothing like that. And I'm just cooking from scratch. So that means that you can't use all these sort of weird and wacky sort of meat substitutes, and you just got to use stuff like tomatoes, aubergines, flour, like just stuff where there's only one thing written on the side of the packet.
Yeah. So we're going to be cooking something today, which I can see here we've got courgettes and sweetcorn.
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing to combine these two into a meal?
So this is going to be like a brunch.
Okay.
So it's a courgette and sweetcorn fritter. Now normally you'd have egg in that, so I've come up with a little way of using slightly different flour to normal. So it's a little bit like how they make onion bhajis.
Okay.
Because you don't put egg in an onion bhaji, but it sort of looks like it should have egg in it, and that's how we're going to do it.
Great. I'm going to be your sous chef if I can.
Yeah. I've got a job for you. First job.
Yes.
Is you need to grate the courgette.
Okay.
So just grate one courgette into there.
Okay, I can do that.
While I take care of opening the can of sweet corn.
I've grated the courgette.
Yeah, I've done a good job, right?
I've done pretty well there.
Now to do my part, I will put some sweet corn in there. So this is sort of gives like a little sort of nugget of flavour in there. And it's just, I don't know, really important. So with vegan food is textures and contrasting flavours. And the way you do that is just by adding sort of stuff in there, like this sweet corn. It sort of pops when you bite it. It gives a nice little texture, and then a little sort of flavour bomb where the sweetness comes out. And it's little tips like that sort of help elevate the food. The next thing we're going to need is gram flour. So this is ground up chickpeas, and this is what is going to make it into a batter that's going to enable us to fry it. So we're going to go in with 3 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3. You can see that it's looking quite dry. So what we're going to do is get some salt, which is here, and this is going to draw out the liquid from the courgette, and then that's going to make it into a batter.
Okay.
So I'm just going to stir it together, and you can see it's still looking quite dry. And over the next sort of 5 minutes, the salt is going to draw out the moisture to make the batter.
Okay.
So let's stir that together and pop a little bit of pepper in there. So you can see here it's still not in a state where you think you can fry it.
No.
So we're just going to wait for a little while and just let time do its work.
This is borderline alchemy you're doing here.
Yeah.
Transforming it into something else entirely.
And that's it, we've just got to wait. So let's wait for 5 minutes.
Okay. It's like intermission. Do you have a favourite recipe in this book? One that's an absolute banker?
For me, it's the cauliflower pasta.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've got just a normal bog standard cauliflower, but I've cooked it in 2 different ways. So I've boiled some of it, and then that goes nice and creamy, and that goes actually in the pasta to make a sauce. And then I've picked off some of the florets, and then I pan fry them, so they've got like a different texture and a little bit of caramelization on the outside, and then a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, and then I put those over the top. And for me, that's probably my favourite recipe.
Are there a few things that you absolutely rely on all the time in your cooking?
For me, tinned tomatoes and pasta.
Yeah.
So I'm really into my Italian cooking. And if I had to only have 2 items, it would probably be tinned tomatoes and pasta. Obviously olive oil, salt and pepper. And then maybe garlic. And I could probably live off of that every day. But it's nice, it's a fresh meal, it's made from scratch. Like tinned tomatoes, I can't tell you enough, like just how magical they can be. Okay, so before we start frying it, just go in with a little bit of olive oil. And then we just get a dollop of the mixture, so about a tablespoon, pop it in the pan, and then flatten it down a little bit, and we just make little fritters.
So with the book, it's called £1 meals, but obviously the way that works is that it's sort of £1 per person, is that right?
Yeah, so each of the recipes has been written just for one person. So the photograph is just one plate of food for one person. But if you were doing it for two, then you just double it up, three, and just triple it up. But what I found was people could relate to the recipes more because it was done for one person. And they could imagine themselves cooking it. When they flick through the book, it's almost like the meal's almost there in front of them, and then they can be like, oh yeah, I really like that one. Because cookbooks are normally done for 4 people.
Yeah.
I can't even think of the last cookbook that I flicked through, and it had sort of meals for one. And I think that that's a throwback to sort of past times where people were cooking for families, but the world doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
People are cooking for one now. Right, we're ready to flip.
Yep.
So there you go.
Beautiful. Whilst we're waiting for those to finish off the caramelisation, you've written a series of books now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you're sort of looking back at those books, do you have a favourite meal or?
The one that changed it all for me was chicken katsu curry.
Okay.
So that's from book 1.
Yeah.
Now that was something I posted on my Instagram account, and it went sort of, I don't know, viral's not the word, but let's say semi-viral.
Semi-viral, okay.
Yeah, it was popular. And then I ended up cooking that on This Morning.
Yeah.
And then through my appearance on This Morning, I got the book deal. And so the whole thing stemmed just from that one dish.
Chicken katsu curry changed your life?
Yeah. And I remember I used chicken thighs instead of chicken breast.
Okay.
And people were like, wow, what?
Chicken have got thighs?
Yeah. So this was a couple of years ago now. Well, I had to do a vegan version for the vegan book.
Right.
So I have my vegan katsu curry in the new book.
So what do you use instead of chicken?
Sweet potato.
Okay.
Yeah, these are done now. So what I'm going to do is find us a plate.
Yep.
We'll go for like an industrial...
We'll go for industrial enamel.
Simple, yeah. Okay, right, let's plate up. So I like to just stack them like a stack of pancakes. And here we go. There is my courgette fritter brunch.
Very impressed. Yeah. Is this the bit where I now put one in my mouth whilst it's boiling hot? And
yeah. So I'm going to put just a tiny, tiny little bit of salt on there. Tiny, tiny little bit of pepper.
Beautiful.
And then
I'm going to take one off the top. Let you get your knife and fork.
And here we go. All vegan and all under £1.
There we go. Well, it was hot.
I'm very hot.
I see what you're saying now about the sweet corn. So that those little pops as you bite into a kernel.
And it just keeps it interesting, makes it sort of more vibrant, and that's what it's all about.
I actually can't believe that's only, what was that, 4 ingredients? Not even 4, 3.
3.
Yeah, and salt and pepper.
Yeah.
That is very impressive.
Thank you.
And way healthier than the buttermilk pancakes with maple syrup that are my weakness.